May the evening soothe and welcome you, O travelers from Upper Egypt.
You will travel no further, because you are come. Here, you are at the beginning of time.
Here was conceived and lived the great week of the creation of the world and the separation of the earth from the waters. You are at the house of the Father.
In this house of the Father, each pharaoh thought of himself as a son and wished to leave his mark upon it.
Each added, superimposed, overdid, outdid, through a span of 20 centuries.
The result is this fabulous labyrinth of facades and passages, esplanades and corridors, perspectives and detours, to which only priests and pharaoh had access.
The city of God was a fortress where the whole garrison of mystic votaries watched over the great divine scheme of things. Sunrises, eclipses of the moon, dynastic chains, the bark of night, the balms of immortality.
The Father is like unto an aged shepherd. His right hand holds the shepherd's crook that gathers in the dust of the stars. His left hand fondles a wild ram walking with him. He is the God of the first day. It is he who is called Amun. At the very mention of his name, priests bow the head, and mere mortals prostrate themselves in the dust. Sometimes ram and God blend together, and a curly-browed sphinx can be seen leading the flock, like this one, that the sculptor has fashioned in multiplicity to guard the court of Karnak. Time of its full splendor, this citadel could only be reached by a royal canal and a sacred avenue. The pharaoh, aboard his barge of glory, moored here, welcomed on the holy quayside, in the shade of the sycamores, by the pontiff and his numberless retinue of priests with their feather fans.
Do not be overwhelmed by the sheer size of these ruins.
The citadel that arose here was not designed on the scale of men, but on the grand scale of God, from whom all things flowed. The drought and the flood, the granaries and the plagues, dreams and power, death and survival. And if one of you this evening were to voice the question that you are whispering in your hearts, who art thou, Amun? The answer would seep from these walls, these lintels, these pedestals, these secret chambers, these piled ruins. For the answer is written everywhere in 1,000 different hieroglyphics.
I am the father of fathers, the mother of mothers, and the bull of the 7 celestial kine. I open my mouth to speak in the midst of silence. I cause to be that men should have a path on which to tread. I open the eyes of all that they might see. My right eye is the day. My left eye is the night. And the waters of the Nile spurt from my sandals.
Amun, the father of all things, had for wife the goddess Mut, who sat a little below him, wearing a royal headdress of vulture feathers. Near to the father and the mother is the son, Hans, standing rigid as a mummy, with a crescent moon picked out upon his oblong head. They made up the Karnak triad, the Holy Family, for whom, and for 2,000 years, ceaselessly, complex fortifications were built by the hands of men.
Here in this place, I, Seti, built the resting place for the holy barks beside the avenue. It is made up of 3 contiguous sandstone chapels. The chapel of Amun's bark is in the center. The chapel of Holes is to the east. The chapel of Mut to the west. I believe this edifice is worthy of Amun, worthy long to bear witness to the glory of Seti II.
I, Ramesses III, conceived that more than one resting place was needed for the sacred barks of the Holy Family. So, midway between the sanctuary and the river, I brought into being this edifice, a veritable temple with pylon guarded by colossi, peristyle courtyard, pillared hall, and sanctuary.
I, Tutankhamun, the youthful pharaoh who re-established Amun in all his power and glory after the treachery of my brother, I have left behind me in this courtyard nothing but this calcite sphinx